All right, we have Coach Candrea here. Same thing, use the raise hand function, and I will call on you when it's your turn. Ryan, you're up first. Go ahead.
Just what was your takeaway from the Washington series?
Well, it was long. I think we averaged about an hour an inning. Just a lot of factors: rain delays, cold weather, and we just offensively just couldn't get going. Uh, you know, Back to getting the key hit right now has been a struggle. And when you're playing games like that against the pitching that we're seeing, there's just a fine line. A hit here or hit there can change the whole complexion of the game. And unfortunately, we're on the other end of the coin right now. But it's good to be back at home, and I'm hoping that this will be the recipe that we need to kind of get our offense jump started.
Why do you think it's been such a struggle to get those key hits?
It's just part of the game. I mean, it's fast pitch softball. When you get to that level, um, good pitching will take care of good hitting, and so it's a challenge to make adjustments. It's a challenge to find a good pitch to put a good swing on it. And normally, you're not going to get a lot of good pitches. So it's the challenge of the game that we play, and it's not going to get any easier as we move forward. So I think it's just getting your eyes used to that late movement and being able to make some small adjustments and keep the game simple.
And Deja was saying that the team's confidence is a little down right now. As a coach, how do you approach that?
Well, I think I'm a process oriented guy, so we're going to stick to our process. But on the other hand, we're going to try to feed some confidence any way that we can, whether it's in practice or, like I said, I hope that they're excited to get back to Hillenbrand Stadium, and I think that will be a good blessing for us.
A few years ago, you gave them the story about the geese flying in formation. Do you have any stories or tips that you're using right now with them?
Well, not right at this moment. I'm not using anything other than trying to get our swings back to where they need to be, and I think a lot of times it's getting back to two things, and that is getting your mind right and getting your eyes right, when it comes to this game. If you're not seeing the ball well, then you start making early decisions. And when you're facing people that can really spin the ball and make a break, that's not a good thing. You have to be able to be calm and trust your eyes. And so we're trying to do some things right now to get back to maybe focusing on, how well we see in the ball. And the other part is get your mind right. And that's every athlete's challenge. There's only so much you can do as a coach to feed them confidence, but then they've got to be the ones that can walk into the game and do what they need to do to feel good about themselves.
John?
Coach, you mentioned getting your mind right has been an issue. Why is that such a problem for such an experienced team and experienced lineup?
Well, you think about it, this experienced lineup, the last time they really were in game mode facing good pitching for a long period of time was at the College World Series 2 years ago. So there's been a little bit of a gap, and I think it takes some time. But, there's a lot of distractions that these kids have had to go through, and it's not always easy. And so I don't know exactly where their minds are right now. I think they're embracing the opportunity to play again, and it's just not coming as quickly as we thought it would. And I think, good pitching has a lot to do with that. If you think about fast pitch softball, it's usually a pitcher's game and getting a key hit. And, you're not going to score 8-9 runs against great pitching. And so the challenge for us is just to stick with our process and try to get rid of all the clutter that you may have or the distractions that you may have and clear your mind and trust what you see and trust that you can put a good swing on it, because the swing hasn't changed. It's right now just kind of fighting the distractions that they may have going through their heads and pressing a little bit. And, it's just a different environment. Not having fans has been really, I think, a challenge too. I mean, every game that we play, it's like you're playing a practice game. It's very quiet, and you have to kind of supply your own energy. But with that being said, we just have to find a way to get back to doing the little things. Maybe it's not so much about your approach at the plate, but playing the game. Playing the game 60 feet at a time, getting a leadoff runner on, moving runners, playing more situational softball. And you can tell from the last 4 or 5 games how runs are being scored by, moving runners and getting ground balls and taking advantage of the opportunity to put the ball in play. We've got to eliminate some strikeouts. Strikeouts are going to happen against good pitching. And even the strikeouts that we still had a chance to win that ball game. So that's the positive side. I think you have to look at, we've been in every ball game that we've lost, and it could have gone either way. So I'm not hitting the panic button. I just think we need to continue to do what we do, and hopefully we'll get in a roll, because hitting is very catching. It once a few people start, then everyone kind of follows, and it's catching the opposite way too, and that's kind of where we've been.
Yeah. You mentioned a lot of faith you have in the senior class. How do you balance that, stepping in and trying to direct the team versus just letting them figure it out on their own? And is that one of the more challenging aspects of coaching?
Don't quite understand what you're asking.
So you have a lot of faith in the senior class to figure it out and lead this team. How do you balance letting them figure it out versus you stepping in and trying to direct them?
Well, yeah, no, I think I'm not just sitting back and letting them trying to figure it out. Believe me, I mean, that's my job, is to try to find the right buttons to press. And we've made some lineup changes to try to give some kids. Sometimes it's just a mental break, we will continue to do what we have to put the best lineup out there to try to win a ball game. But it's not an exact science. It's a lot of times you can hit the right buttons and things look really good. And a month ago everyone was going, "Geez, what an offense!" So that's how quickly things can change. And so you have to have some patience with that. To me, softball is a game of averages, and at the end of the year, the averages kind of average out, and you've got to go through the highs and lows. And right now, we're kind of going through the lows, but I think this group is still working hard and putting in the extra work to try to get that good feeling. And every day you're getting maybe a step closer to making that happen.
Brian, you're next.
Yeah, Coach, I mentioned to Deja earlier about Janelle Miano's significance on the team, but she's been a very consistent hitter for you guys, and it's currently sporting a 500 batting average. What have you liked about her at bats this season, and why do you think she's such a tough out for opposing pitchers?
Well, she's a short gamer, so she's very short to the ball. She's just trying to put the ball in play, and sometimes in situations against good pitching, that's a good approach to have. And so I think the blessing she has is she's got great hand-eye coordination. She's got a pretty good knowledge of the strike zone, doesn't chase a lot of pitches out of the zone. Right now she's getting some pitches and putting a good swing on it and getting good results. Where some of our other hitters are even, they're in that situation now where they're putting good swings on a pitch and they've got nothing to show for it. And that starts grinding on you a little bit. So Janelle has really done a really good job. I thought she had really good at-bats. I thought Deja had some really good at-bats. And I thought Charlize Palacios had some really good at-bats. Scoop had some good at-bats, considering that that's another level that she hasn't seen. So I was very proud of her. We just have, some people right now that are just pressing a little bit and trying to find that key hit, and I think a lot of times you score up, Harper will score up a ball and that'll be it, but the kids that had success are the kids that really have short swings. They're really quick from point A to point B. The longer your swing is against good pitching, the tougher it is. And so that's one of the things we've talked about is what can we do to simplify what we're trying to do. You know, the pitcher will supply the power. We just have to square the ball up and not worry about hitting the ball out of the ballpark. And, you know, I think right now we're doing some things a little bit differently in practice to try to get back on track.
Ryan?
What have you seen from Deja this season? How different of a hitter do you think she is from 2019? Because she's on pace to break her career high in homers and also walks as well.
Deja is just a lot more patient right now. You know, I think she's really seeing the ball well, and she's able to slow the game down. Like I mentioned, sometimes when you get in trouble in our game, it's your eyes. It's keeping your eyes out here and making decisions too early. By the time the ball gets here, it's doing a different thing. I think Deja is one of those kids with a really short, compact swing, very powerful, but she sees the ball a long time and is able to make contact. And so I think right now she just looks really patient, really grounded. I mean, she's keeping the game slow, and it's kind of fun to see.
And this weekend, when you guys were in Washington, obviously you were on the road, and ASU was also on the road. I'm just curious if you've ever thought about the Pac-12 maybe scheduling you and UCLA and ASU at home early in the conference season to avoid some of these rain games. And then also that would mean later in the year, you don't play as many games in, let's say, May or when it's 100 degrees. Right.
Well, we've done that. I mean, we've kind of, I can go back to the 80s and we've done about everything you can think of. And it really, what it came down to is equality. They felt like it was very unequal for cold weather teams to have to be on the road for the first month of the season. And so they went to a schedule that was, I mean, randomly thrown out there, and it's as equal as it can be. And so you have to face the elements. And unfortunately in our conference, you don't think about it, but we do have some cold weather schools. When you go to Oregon, you go to Washington, you go to Salt Lake City. I mean, there can be snow on the ground there, which there was last year when we were there. So we have some challenges with the weather. When you're going up there in March, then it's probably a pretty good chance you're going to be dealing with the elements.
And what do you think about the season that Oregon State is having? And also Mariah Mazon, you didn't face her the first time.
Right. No, they're much improved and will be a very good challenge for us. So, you know, right now I'm more concerned about what Arizona's doing. Pretty much always is, you know, the fact. But yeah, they're playing well. They're a good team, and we look forward to being at home and having another challenge.
And just another thing I thought that was interesting was Peanut played third in that last game at Washington. Yeah. And she played that position in travel, but how much experience has she gotten there since she's gotten to the U of A?
Peanut's a good third baseman and can play there. I mean, she's a natural there. She's played there all her life. So it's like riding a bike. You don't forget about it. And again, I thought Malia she was struggling and wanted to give her kind of a mental break to see if we can change things up. But yeah, that's the challenge of this sport. You know, you can imagine those guys that play 162 games, you know, in Major League Baseball, the ebbs and flows that you go through are pretty tremendous. But at the end of the day, it is a game of averages. And I'm just hoping that if the averages work out, then we're due to get hot. And that's about all you can do.
Oh, and is there any way you could make up those games against Washington, either against another team or maybe adding another conference game or anything like that?
Well, you can. I mean, we can always add games to our schedule. It's just a matter right now. It's trying to find the time to do it. You know, for me, it would have to be getting someone to come here, and that can sometimes be a challenge because everyone's in their conference seasons now. But we're always looking.
All right, we've got time for one last question from Brian.
Coach, what are some of the things that you saw from Oregon State in your previous matchup last month that could potentially serve as problems for you guys heading into this weekend series?
Well, like I said, they're a very balanced team right now and playing well. They're good athletes, just like everyone in the Pac-12. And you can't beat yourself. You have to beat them. And so I think right now, if you look at Oregon State, they're mature in the circle. Those kids were young the last time we played them, and there's I think some better athletes in their lineup. So they can present some challenges offensively, and I think the key for us is our offense. If we're putting the ball in play consistently, then I think good things can happen for us.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
Yep.
All right. It is 12:30. We're going to go ahead and get started here. Please use the raise hand function if you have a question for Deja. And we will open it up for, I guess, whoever wants to start us off can lead us off. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, how's it going, Deja? Thank you for being here today. So tell me, how beneficial is it for the team to have a player of Janelle Miano's caliber in which she can hit for average at a high rate and get on base on a high rate, as well as steal bases at a high rate as well?
I think that's very beneficial for us. As you can tell, we have a power lineup. So just to get anybody on base and have our power hitters come up, that's going to be very beneficial for scoring runs. I mean, she's an all-star player, and obviously that's why we have her at the top of the lineup to get things going and to get our lineup started. So, I mean, she's a great addition, and I think it's really good to have her there.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
John?
Hi, Deja. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, this is a very experienced team, and Jesse talked about last week just really struggling to be not be individualized at the plate and to really trust the rest of the lineup. And I'd ask, one, do you see that happening? And then two, why is that happening with such an experienced group?
Do I see individualism happening?
Yeah. Do you see a lack of, I guess, trust in other hitters in the lineup and kind of, Jesse kind of referred to it as hitters becoming too individual about their bats and focusing too much on themselves instead of playing into the system?
I wouldn't say that the trust isn't in each other. I would say right now our confidence is just a little bit down just because we're not getting the results that we wanted. But I definitely think we trust each other, especially when I go up to the plate knowing that I have Hart behind me. That's a big threat. So obviously Coach does his lineup that way to protect the hitter before and the hitter before. And we're fortunate enough to have 1 through 9 awesome hitters. But right now I just think it's a lack of confidence in ourselves. But I wouldn't say it's a trust issue with each other.
Do you think that lack of confidence is coming from, the less experienced players? Do you feel like the more experienced players have to do more to help them with that confidence?
I definitely think that we do, but at the end of the day, this is a game of failure. So obviously you're going to fail more times than you're going to succeed. And that has a lot to do with your mental game. But that's why Coach always talks about strengthening your mental game and making sure you're in the now and always where you need to be, whether that's offense or defense. So, I mean, it has a lot to do with the individual, but I definitely think us as a team can help each other boost that confidence and boost the morale.
Ryan?
Yeah, so in your guys' last matchup against Oregon State, you guys went on to win a tight contest due to walk-off. What were some of the contributing factors that made it difficult for you guys in terms of trying to put them away early in that game?
I mean, Washington is a great team. They're always hard and competitive whenever we face them. So, I mean, there's that. And obviously they have a star in the circle with Gabby Plain. So, I mean, just getting base runners on for us, I think we were able to do that, but it was just scoring the base runners that we had a little bit of difficulty with. But I mean, like I said, with a team like Washington and a pitcher like Gabby Plain, obviously it's going to be a little bit tough to do that.
Ryan?
So you've like your team is struggling at the plate, but you've had a great season so far. I mean, how much better of a hitter are you now compared to your last season here in 2019?
I think I'm a very better hitter now than I was in 2019. I mean, that's almost 3 years ago. So, I mean, obviously, I would hope I'd be better given the time that I've been given. But I think it being my senior season, it's just a little bit more personal for me. So, each and every at bat and each and every pitch is just, it's important. And obviously, I'm taking time to slow down and kind of pass that along to the rest of the lineup that obviously I'm finding success this way. And so I'm hoping that I can influence them doing the same thing.
And is there anything specific from your time with Team USA that's really helped you?
I think just seeing the other players and kind of soaking it up what they do to find success, because obviously they've been around the game. They're all Americans, and they're studs, and they're on the USA team. So, I mean, just embracing what they do at the plate, kind of picking every single person, whether that's Haley McClenny or Valerie Arioto, who bring two different things to the table. So I think just kind of putting tools in my toolbox and using those has really helped.
And not only are you hitting for more power this season, but your walk rate is way up. I mean, what's kind of been your approach at the plate that's allowed you to draw that many walks?
I mean, in the past couple of years, I've been a little bit more patient at the plate. I know a lot of times pitchers aren't always going to want to pitch to me. And I'm okay with that because, as I said earlier, I have Hart behind me or whoever may be behind me, and I trust them and their abilities that once I get on base, they'll do something effective. So, I mean, like I said, slowing pitches down, slowing my at-bats down, and kind of just seeing a pitch that I can drive and waiting for that to come has really been beneficial in helping me get on base and just walk a lot.
And physically, how much has it helped you to have someone like Shar who's caught a lot of games and gives you a break back there?
Oh, it's so beneficial because I've been playing year round since my freshman year. So it's like I catch for 5 straight years nonstop. And now that I have a catcher that can help me and hop back there whenever I need it or whenever coach sees that I need it, it's really beneficial because it makes me less fatigued maybe in the games that I do need to play back there.
And when you say less fatigued, I mean, in what ways? Like, how's it obvious?
Maybe just physically in my legs and my knees. I don't have the best knees, but that's a given because I'm a catcher. But I definitely do feel a little bit more energetic and a little bit like I have a little bit behind me when I do catch.
John?
You talked about just how important the season is for you and the other seniors. You guys have been through this quite a bit. How do you balance the pressure of needing to win or wanting to win and be back among the top 5 teams versus the reality that there's a long season ahead? And what advice do you give the younger players who may be struggling right now to handle that balance?
One thing Coach always says is pressure is a privilege. And I've actually caught myself in the games saying that to myself, maybe when there's runners on and I'm coming up to bat with 2 outs. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. And I just slow it down and I say pressure is a privilege and I get up there and I control what I can control and everything else is out of my hands. But the advice that I give to the younger team or the younger girls on the team is probably just to relax because obviously if you go up there tense, your eyes are not going to be able to see the pitches. And that's just a scientific thing. You can talk to our trainer about it, but it's literally proven that if you go up there tense, you will not see the ball. So I think just slowing down, coach talks about intentional breathing, getting your breath aligned, and just being where your feet are. I mean, that's very important, whether you're on defense or whether you're hitting. So, yeah, obviously us as seniors have a lot of experience in these pressure moments. We've been in the big time games and we have a lot of experience with that. So obviously where we find success, I hope that we pass it along to our younger girls and that they're able to embrace it and feel a little bit more comfortable in those positions.
Brian?
Yeah, Dan. So you're currently hitting at a .444 batting average with 9 home runs and 25 RBIs. Do you take any pride at all in being a big-time offensive catalyst and leader for your team?
Oh, yeah, I take a lot of pride. I mean, I love being a tough out. I love getting on the other pitcher's nerves. I get on my own pitcher's nerves when we play scrimmages. So, and they always get on me like, why don't you do this to other pitchers? Why don't you do this to other pitchers? So, I mean, now it's my time to do it to other pitchers. And I hope that I can stay consistent and always be a hard out and always be a tough out in our lineup.
Ryan?
When you say you get on their nerves, what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, given that we didn't have any fall games, we scrimmaged a lot. So obviously I saw our pitchers a lot, maybe like 12 to 15 times a week. And so obviously the more at bats you see, the better you see the pitchers. And I kind of knew what pitches they would need to get me out on, and I would look for that pitch. And obviously with my strength now, it would go over the fence. So, I mean, they would get pretty annoyed with that. But at the end of the day, they're just glad that I'm on their team and not the other way around.
And what do you just kind of think about having a chance to play in front of fans? Like, what are you most looking forward to this weekend with that?
I'm excited. I think I'm more excited for the younger girls who haven't gotten that chance yet. I mean, it was really weird to play a couple weekends ago back at home with no fans. So now just to get a little taste of that and to have my family coming out here this weekend, I'm so excited, and I'm excited for the team.
John?
Yeah. What's Coach Candrea's approach in stretches like this? Does he kind of just turn it over to the seniors to get everybody together, or is he kind of loudly in the clubhouse trying to direct traffic?
Coach, if you know Coach, he's a man of few words. So I mean, when he does speak, it is very powerful. But I think at the end of the day, considering the senior class that we have, he puts a lot on us, and we embrace that because obviously we've been there, we've done that, we're the players of the team. But at the end of the day, he knows when he needs to step in. But I think we as seniors pride ourselves on kind of taking that role on for him so he doesn't have to do it. And like I said, I think we embrace it.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Oh, there's a video I saw on Twitter of you in your transfer from home to second. What's your pop time?
I have no idea, honestly. I just try to get the ball out as fast as I can.
Okay. I guess what's kind of your key to that? I mean, people were really impressed by just how quickly you're able with your footwork and your release.
It's definitely something I've always worked on. I've been catching since I was 8 years old, and I wasn't always the strongest, even though I am one of them now. But I've always been a smaller catcher, so I embraced what I had in my toolbox, and that was speed. And so I think I've just worked on that and perfecting that talent of mine, and obviously it's relayed a couple years later. I've gotten a little bit slower, but yeah, just quickness.
And what kind of goes through your mind when you see someone try to steal on you?
I mean, I haven't had the results that I wanted this year. People still tried to attempt to steal on me, and I love it. I love the challenge. I've always loved the challenge, and I like to see what I can do and if I'm going to be able to get them out.
Brian, you're next.
You guys are currently sitting on a 3-game skid. Where do you think is the team's morale right now as you guys head into this weekend matchup against Oregon State?
Obviously, we're in a tough spot right now, but I think, like I said, our senior class, we share a lot of stuff, whether we read books or we find articles or just kind of things that we know in the back of our head because of the experience that we have. We share that information with each other. So I'm reading this book called Relentless, From Good to Great to Unstoppable, and it has like bits and pieces about the game in it. And I'll send screenshots in our group me kind of just to keep our team in a positive headspace. And I think that's the biggest thing right now, especially when we are on a 3-game losing streak. I mean, nobody wants that, but I mean, it's a tough game. It's a game of failure. It's going to happen. And the good thing is that it's happening right now in March. But I think just us as teammates getting together and keeping that morale high, whether you as a person believe that or whether we as a team believe that, you got to fake it till you make it sometimes. And I think just keeping in a positive headspace is what's important right now.
Ryan?
And from that book you're talking about, are there any lines or excerpts that really stand out to you?
Yeah, I have a bunch highlighted. None off the top of my head. I have terrible memory, but that's why I highlight in my book so that I can remember them. But I would love to show them if you ever wanted to know.
Anything else for Deja? Thanks, Deja.
Thanks.